Monster Train is one of those games where literally, if you know, you know. It came out in the wave of all those roguelikes that were incorporating different elements and really stood above the rest of them, alongside Slay the Spire with this kind of like card game inspired roguelike style. And then boom, surprise! Suddenly, Monster Train 2 was just coming out and no one was really expecting that because this one just kind of came out of nowhere. A lot of people were very excited about this. And so, let's talk about Monster Train 2. I played this game for just over an hour and let's talk about some of those first impressions. What's up everybody, my name is Marks, and they say don't judge a book by its cover, and so instead we're going to be judging it based on its first hour of gameplay. And so, even though I've basically just explained what Monster Train is, it's a roguelike deck building game where essentially you go through a different wave of enemies, and then once you complete that wave of enemies, then you get a chance to upgrade, so on and so forth until you can kind of make it to the end of the map. It is one of these roguelike deck building games, and so that means that you're picking two factions right off the bat, and then as you go on, you get different options for upgrading your hero unit, getting spells, getting different people, and all that type of good stuff in order to really make a strong, solid deck to defend the train amongst the increasing difficulty waves of enemies. Of course, as a roguelike, it means that you're probably going to fail multiple times, but that's kind of just part of the DNA. And Monster Train 1 was released in May 21st of 2022, but Monster Train 2 has come out May 21st of 2025. Is it actually 5 years apart? I need to look this up right now. Oh my goodness, yeah, literally, they planned it so that it was released 5 years after the original one. That's actually really cool. It's developed by Big Fan Games, which is a label of Devolver Digital, who is one of my favorite publishers. I think they do a really good job at kind of curating some of the games that they put out there. Monster Train 2 is currently available for $36.99 in Canadian dollars, because I'm in Canada, on Steam and also a part of Xbox Game Pass, which is fantastic. And I played about 14 hours of Monster Train 1. I remember it being extremely fun, so I was really excited to hop into Monster Train 2, seeing that it was on Xbox Game Pass already. And so after that hour, what were my first impressions of Monster Train 2? Because it had pretty big shoes to fill, if you ask me. And all I've got to say is, we're far enough into the YouTube video, so fuck, this game is really good. It scratches all the itches you would expect from one of these deck building roguelike games that really just hooks people for hours and hours and hours and hours. Monster Train 2 builds upon the original Monster Train formula, including things like room cards, weapons, and more importantly to me, the deployment phase. I was a really big fan of this deployment phase to really just make your train all click together, and then when all of the abilities are kind of lining up and you get the perfect synergies kind of going through all of it, it's like the neurons are just blasting dopamine all throughout your brain. And right off the bat, one of the biggest things that I noticed is while Monster Train 1 just kind of slaps you across the face with a stick saying, this is a roguelike game, you're gonna learn how to do this through pure failure, I actually thought that Monster Train 2 did a really good job at introducing what was going on and building upon different gameplay elements to make it make more sense to people who maybe didn't go through that Monster Train experience. And that's no shade to Monster Train, by the way, because these roguelikes, I mean, sometimes it's literally beating your head into a brick wall until you start to understand some of these patterns, or you inevitably Google it because you can't really run your brain that intensively when in the middle of gameplay. It's all based around a story, which if I'm being honest, I don't remember the story at all in Monster Train 1, but the Monster Train 2 one, it felt like the story elements were a little bit more in your face, and I wasn't really expecting it to be something. It's just like, oh cool, this is a setting, all right, let's get the deck building going, let's get the roguelike. But genuinely speaking, the story seemed a little bit more interesting, and the different factions that are kind of presented in some of the artwork and whatnot, you look at it and be like, I kind of want to see where this one is going. And after having completed a couple of runs as well, I mean, obviously, as someone who has played these games before, I kind of understood what was going on, and I was able to make it pretty far on my original run, finding kind of combinations that were able to break things. But inevitably, when I did fail, because it's a roguelike, you're going to fail, you actually get presented with a lot more unlockables and progress bars on your homepage, which for me, especially in some of these roguelike games, is a huge bonus, and they should pretty much do this in every single one so you have an idea on what is going on. Maybe this is me being JRPG pilled, where you like, oh, I need to level up this many times, and then I unlock this ability and this type of job, all of that type of stuff. This is the equivalent of that in the style of these roguelike games, and it really helps you focus in on things that you can aim to do. Like this run, I want to try this crazy combinations where I'm going to be casting like a bunch of spells because that's going to unlock either a new faction, a new spell, a new card, all those different things. So genuinely, I really appreciated a lot of these quality of life updates that Monster Train 2 is bringing to this entire formula. And also, like, the music slaps. Like, I remember in Monster Train 1 being a really big fan of, like, when the boss themes kind of came on and you were like, oh shit, here we go. I felt like this was like the first time that I played Doom Eternal again, where it's like, you just kind of like walk in and the music is there, it's blaring, but it just completely complements your system, and suddenly you feel so goddamn locked in that like everything is just about this video game in the moment. And I think that there is just a lot of love that was given to Monster Train 2. Like, this doesn't feel like it's just one of those half-hearted sequels. It feels like so many different elements were well fleshed out and built upon since the 5 years of Monster Train 1, where this feels like a very, very, very solid experience. And so, okay, after an hour, like, where am I at on this game? Well, like, goddamn, I'm hooked. I had to record this video because then I didn't want to explore anything more. I wanted to give those very first impressions, but I've been like, man, I could just go for another run on that train. We could see how far we get. Maybe I do a 2-hour review instead. But I can genuinely feel that this was one of those games where, you know, you can hop in a Discord call with a couple of friends and stuff like that, just like chatting, catching up about life. But also, I'm going to be running Monster Train 2 in the background because I got to work towards unlocking all those different decks, or maybe building some broken synergies amongst my current run. It really feels like that this is a very solid game, and the one thing I was trying to think about is how approachable this is for newer players. And I do think that this is on the more approachable side of things. I find roguelikes are very, very, very difficult to recommend wholeheartedly without setting expectations up, but I felt like Monster Train 2 is doing the stuff with the story as well as the tutorials popping up on screen to make you have a very solid first run to understand like some of the stuff that's going on, so that when you go back into it and you get to experience more things, it's holding your hand a bit more. And especially in the early parts of these roguelike games, that is extremely important. Otherwise, people are gonna be like, what the hell is going on? Seriously, I know this might be like egregious to say. My voice just cracked, that's totally fine. I couldn't get into The Binding of Isaac because it feels so like gatekeepy, and that you really need to just hit yourself over and over and over and over and over again until you understand how the game works and can potentially put together one of those runs. I don't have that level of dedication. Like, I work a 9 to 5. It's so much easier to hop into a game like Monster Train 2, where everything feels a little bit more smooth experience, and because of the turn-based nature, you can really take things at your own pace. So yeah, that's just me. I think that this is 100% worth your dollar value even. I'm playing it through Xbox Game Pass, but if I wasn't a subscriber to Game Pass, I think that I would genuinely consider buying this thing if it goes on sale, because I think you can get a lot of hours out of this one, and if somehow you can make this portable on the go, that would slap. Like, this game would be amazing, if not a little bit dangerous, because then all of your time would disappear, to play like on the go. But okay, well, Monster Train fans, I mean, you know exactly what you're kind of getting into here. So if you haven't played any of these Monster Train games, let me know what you think about this if you do decide to just hop in there, because genuinely curious from a perspective of someone who is not into roguelikes, I want to know whether or not this game does a good job of delivering that first good experience to hook new players. But anyways, thank you so much for watching. It's another 1 hour review. Actually 1 hour this time, didn't go over the time limit. And I'm just gonna keep on plugging away and trying out all these different types of games and see which ones stick with me, because ultimately that's kind of why I put the series together. See what's out there and get a better idea of things. Well, thank you so much for watching, and we'll catch you in the next video. Like and subscribe if you enjoyed, and we'll see you later. Okay, bye everyone.